Today we'll talk about Jeffrey Epstein on Connecticut Yankee Sanity. So as not to trigger a YouTube takedown before I've barely gotten the channel rolling, I state that I have no conspiracy theories, just an interest in learning more about the man and sharing what I've found out. As soon as the news broke of his curiously convenient death in the Manhattan Correctional Center, a maximum security prison, the gutter media, as though they had the story in the can ready to go, closed ranks to keep the Clintons out of it, and, if possible, to shift suspicion onto Donald Trump and his Russian buddies, or, at the very least, to taint the president by association. Let's tackle that last point first. Yes, Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein knew each other. Yes, Epstein visited Mar-a-Lago 17 years ago. He was subsequently barred from the property. Bill Clinton knew Epstein too and is known to have flown in his plane to Orgy Island several times. The media, for some reason, don't find that relationship or those trips worthy of exploring. Just the more casual acquaintance Mr. Trump had with Epstein before he was revealed as a sexual predator. I can only observe that even in a big city like New York or a ritzy place like Palm Beach, billionaires are rare. It's inevitable that their paths should cross. That Mr. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were in the same room at the same time on one occasion or another doesn't place the two in the same moral category. One of the drawbacks to having more money than you need is that if you're not careful, you can do things with it you shouldn't. Epstein is a case in point. Having sex with children, at least the way he did it, is a taste as expensive and risky as it is deplorable, and he had more than ample means to indulge himself in it. It would have been better for him, and far better for his victims, if he'd followed in his father's footsteps and become a gardener and a groundskeeper working for the Parks Department. He might still have catcalled girls out jogging, and maybe even molested a few, but he probably would not have gone on to become a sex trafficker and a serial rapist. He'd have landed in the slammer first. In 2005, the Palm Beach County Police Chief Michael Reiter carried out a year-long undercover investigation of Epstein. It gave new meaning to the term home delivery, revealing an astonishing pattern of trafficking of underage girls to his mansion. Although she denies it, Epstein was aided in this by Ghislaine Maxwell, his one-time girlfriend and daughter of deceased media mogul Robert Maxwell. She has settled 2 lawsuits against her by Epstein's victims and attempted to block the unsealing of the court documents that preceded his death. A once prominent socialite who attended Chelsea Clinton's wedding, Maxwell is presently nowhere to be found, the sort of behavior you'd naturally expect from an innocent person with nothing to hide. According to at least one victim, she shared Epstein's taste for forbidden fruit and his bizarre recipes for preparing and consuming it. Reiter presented the findings of his investigation, which included a search of Epstein's mansion, to Palm Beach County State Attorney Barry Kersher. Kersher was reluctant to prosecute the case. In fact, he told Reiter to forget the whole business, or to treat it as a misdemeanor, that is, a minor, unindictable offense. Reiter decided to inform the Department of Justice in Washington, at which point Alexander Acosta, the then U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, became involved, and an FBI investigation was begun. As we now know, Acosta, whose appointment as Secretary of Labor to the Trump administration was opposed by Dianne Feinstein on the grounds that his handling of the Epstein case disqualified him, has just resigned. Why? To spare the administration embarrassment, of course. But how so? Epstein's high-powered legal team had flown down to Palm Beach for a chat. Acosta was apparently convinced by them or by others interested in the case that their client, quote, belonged to intelligence, and that he, Acosta, should leave it alone. The implication, I guess, was that Epstein was some sort of an intel asset, the value of whose service to his country outweighed petty considerations of immorality and criminal behavior. Acosta agreed to a plea bargain and charged Epstein with 1 count of soliciting prostitution. In doing so, he put Epstein's underage victims into the category of prostitutes, and in keeping the details of the plea bargain secret, broke the law requiring that plaintiffs be informed of such arrangements. It was not his finest hour as a prosecutor. Epstein spent 13 months on work release, a privilege denied sex offenders. He spent his nights in a minimum security facility and his days in his luxurious offices with minimal supervision, running his businesses. The last months of his sentence were spent under house arrest with travel privileges. Thus was justice served. Epstein described himself as a collector of wealthy and powerful men. In addition to trafficking in underage girls and raping them, he had blackmail in his toolkit, just in case any of his high-powered associates became troublesome. This is probably what was meant when Acosta was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence. His little black book and collection of photos and videos is apparently extensive enough to keep a celebrity porn site and source material indefinitely. No wonder the prospect of unsealing evidence from the case caused such a stir. It didn't take a genius to predict that Epstein wouldn't live to have his day in court. The law forbids double jeopardy. You can't be tried twice for the same crime. But Epstein wasn't tried once. Sure, he had to register as a sex offender after the bogus prostitution rap went down, but until now he was never charged with sex trafficking or sex with minors. Double jeopardy therefore seems irrelevant. Had the man not killed himself, or been killed, it's unlikely that this time he would have evaded a jail sentence under terms and conditions more worthy of his alleged crimes. I can't help thinking that the Epstein affair is symptomatic of our social deterioration, especially the breakdown of the family. The man was engaging in sex with girls as young as 14, dozens and dozens of them. Indeed, one of his victims said that by the time she was 19, he was no longer interested in her. She was too old. We'll probably never know how many lives he ravaged. But where were the parents of these girls? How is it that they could disappear for hours or days or weeks without their parents wondering where the hell they were? How is it that one of their fathers didn't show up at Epstein's doorstep to beat the crap out of him? Where were their mothers? What kind of care and supervision could these girls have been receiving? The sole good that may come out of this sordid business is that it might help our Attorney General, William Barr, in his efforts to restore the integrity of the Department of Justice and the confidence of the American people in our judicial system. Epstein is another instance of a powerful, well-connected person evading justice and getting away with a wrist slap. Now, finally arrested on real charges and awaiting trial, he dies under ludicrously suspicious circumstances while in custody in a federal detention facility. Mr. Barr has certainly been handed a lemon. A prompt and thorough investigation with the results revealed in full, however embarrassing to the DOJ and the Manhattan Correctional Center, will go a long way towards reassuring the American people that our descent into third world-style jurisprudence will not continue. Reversing the decline in the strength and integrity of the American family may take a bit longer. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click like and subscribe to support the channel, and pass the link along. We'll see you back here next time.